Now I think we can all agree that the GTA games, and especially GTA San Andreas, have some incredible and memorable missions, and I'm sure that everybody has at least one mission that they look forward to when replaying the game. However, on the opposite side, when you're forced to make an entire video game in less than 2 years, containing over 100 missions, you're gonna end up with some bad ones. Now, in the case of GTA San Andreas, amongst all of the missions, there's one that always stood out to me just because of how poorly it's designed and how everything, including the plot, the mission structure, and just the entire concept of the mission make absolutely no sense. The mission I'm going to be talking about in this video takes place during the middle part of the game when you're in San Fierro, and the mission is called Photo Opportunity. Now if you don't remember, during this section of the game, CJ wants to take out the people responsible for the drug operation that Big Smoke is a part of. However, he doesn't exactly know who's supplying them and he wants to find out. This mission starts off at the Doherty safe house where you receive a phone call by Caesar, who tells you that he's been following a Ballas car that's been going to San Fierro to score a deal, and that he and CJ should go and find out who's supplying them. It's also worth mentioning that this is probably the only mission in the game that has no motion capture cutscenes, which really makes the storytelling here look lazy.
CJ!
You got it?
Hey, my cousin just called me. He gave me a tip about a baller's car going to San Fierro to score yay.
Shit! We gotta find out who's supplying those cats.
Read your mind, Holmes. I picked them up at the Mulholland intersection, and I'm trailing them now.
Okay, I'm coming to meet you.
Better make it fast, Holmes. These boys are hanging around.
CJ says that he'll come and meet Caesar, and this is where the mission logic kinda starts falling apart. Firstly, Caesar doesn't tell CJ where he is. He could literally be at any location in between San Fierro and Los Santos. Second of all, if Caesar is currently following a moving vehicle, doesn't that mean that he will lose the car that he's been following if he decides to stop and wait like an hour for CJ to arrive? But okay, let's continue. Now you get to the first gameplay part of the mission, where you have to drive halfway across the map to get to Caesar, who's waiting for you in the middle of nowhere, and this is where the mission kinda starts being infuriating. So you meet Caesar, who tells you that the guy he's been following is in Angel Pine and now you have to drive there. And I have some questions. Firstly, how does Caesar even know that they're headed to Angel Pine? The place where you meet Caesar and Angel Pine are literally on the opposite sides of the continent. There is absolutely no indication that the Ballas car is going to Angel Pine. Now you also get to experience the worst part of this mission, driving from this place all the way down to Angel Pine. Now you may be thinking, well, that can't be that bad. Well, it can. Firstly, the car that you're forced to drive is a lowrider. Now, lowriders have this one tiny really specific trait of being extremely easy to flip over, which combined with the fact that you're driving over hills and plains makes this drive incredibly tedious, as a slight moment of inattention could cause you to flip over and die, forcing you to start all the way back from San Fierro. And you also cannot change this vehicle, as Caesar would literally rather die than give up his red Savannah that he's driving. My second big flaw with this part of the mission is the fact that there's no dialogue. You know how in almost every single mission in GTA, when you're driving to some place, you get to listen to the people in the car, become social butterflies and talk the entire way? Well, not here, no, as both CJ and Caesar will stay completely silent, not even going over the plan or anything, no, just dead silence. Once you finally arrive to Angel Pine, you hide on top of a building and wait for the guys you're supposed to photograph to arrive. Now, if they were already headed to Angel Pine before Caesar met up with CJ, how exactly did CJ and Caesar arrive before the gang members? That kinda makes no sense, but okay. So now you have to take the pictures of each of the San Fierro Rifa gang members, and this sets up the next big story arc of the game nicely, as you get introduced to the next major villains in the game. However, I have one issue with this part of the mission. I'll play a small clip and you tell me if you can notice what's wrong with it.
Ryder, you shermhead!
This business is bigger than any gang, ese.
Ryder, little bitch! This guy take himself real serious.
That's T-Bone Mendez.
What now? Is that it?
Hey, who's the gringo?
I don't like the look of that guy. This more than a few thugs pushing product. It's a serious organization.
How many of these clowns are there?
I know a pimp when I see one. They being clever about this. It ain't no exchange of nothing incriminating.
Why are they shouting? Like, you're supposed to be all stealthy and quiet, do not let them notice you, and CJ and Caesar are just yelling their names to the point where the entire town of Angel Pine can hear them. After you take the photos, CJ and Caesar debrief at the closest gas station, where CJ says that, quote,
That was some heavy shit.
now I have a question. What exactly was heavy about this entire mission? All CJ did was drive around and take pictures. There was nothing heavy about that. And now, as a final slap to your face, the mission ends with Caesar not even offering CJ a ride back to San Fierro. No. You're left in the middle of nowhere, at the bottom of the map, and now you have to drive all the way back to San Fierro to continue the missions and the story. Now, the reason why this mission feels so weird and rushed is because it was originally supposed to be much different. At least according to the game's leftover dialogue, which implies that you were supposed to be in a helicopter instead of a car. This would explain why CJ and Caesar were shouting during the mission. But this also creates a different problem. Because how in the world do you expect CJ and Caesar to quietly follow someone in a helicopter? Do you know what helicopters sound like? They're everything but quiet. A fellow GTA content creator by the name of Real Kev3n has actually made a video where he tries to recreate this cut version of Photo Opportunity with the Design Your Own Mission mod, and while this is obviously not 100% accurate, the cut leftover dialogue does provide us with some proof that this is in fact how the mission was supposed to play out. Firstly, CJ would steal a helicopter from the San Fierro police station, and this actually could be the reason why this mission was changed. You see, CJ at this point in the game didn't learn how to fly yet and was in fact scared of flying.
Beat your fears, focus your mind, and learn to fly.
And having him be fully able to commandeer and drive a helicopter, and then having him learn how to fly all over again 30 missions later, would break the game's continuity, not to mention that players themselves wouldn't probably know how to fly the helicopters this early into the game. In this version of the mission, the meeting itself is also much more grand and organized, with there being actual security with guns, which makes more sense considering this is a meeting between some of the biggest criminals in the state.
They packing serious heat. Max, Uzis, rifles, these fools connected.
You could also actually see the deal take place as CJ mentions that everybody has a case full of yay. The mission would climax with the security discovering you, which makes sense since, you know, you're in a helicopter. And they would start shooting you, so you had to probably run away. This would also make more sense as the whole "that was some heavy shit" line would actually be true here. In my opinion, this version of the mission, despite the obvious continuity flaws, is much more fun and thought out, and I think that this should have been the version the developers went for. However, I can also understand that the time constraints forced devs to cut out a lot of content, and Photo Opportunity is one major example of that. Well, that's all for this video. Let me know in the comments what you think and if there are any other missions you'll want me to cover. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.